Next on the NewsFeed, the lights are shining bright in the Minnesota skies. Find out the cause. And the beautiful sights of Yosemite National Park will have to wait to be seen. Plus, learn the discovery and journey of a teenager in Europe. It's 1 o'clock and the NewsFeed starts now. 10 seconds. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jason Holly. The TCC Northeast Music Department presented their Spring Composers Forum recital. The music department hosts dozens of concerts, recitals, and master classes each semester, many of which, including the Composers Forum recital, focus on new music by living composers. The recital featured 4 newly written compositions for clarinet quartet, each of which was composed by a TCC student. The works were performed by the Metroplex Clarinet, a professional ensemble in the DFW area comprised of faculty from TCC and Texas Women's University. The concert included the world premiere of each work and a short master class from the ensemble. Uvalde has a new assistant chief of police. According to a statement from the city manager, that position now belongs to Homer Delgado. He is currently the chief of police in Dilley, Texas, and will start on May 8th. The statement spoke about Delgado's history of building relationships between the citizens of Dilley and the police department. It goes on to say that what was witnessed in Uvalde in May 2022 when he served as incident commander for Operation Coyote Overwatch. Newly released FBI data shows the number of casualties from active shooter situations last year was the highest it has been in the past 5 years. According to the report Wednesday, 100 people died and 213 were wounded in active shootings during 2022. The FBI designated 50 shootings as active shooter incidents. Last year, 13 of them met legal definition of mass killing, 3 or more deaths in a single incident. That included shootings in Colorado Springs, Highland Park, Illinois, and Uvalde, Texas. Authorities are looking for 3 inmates who escaped a Mississippi jail over the weekend. A 4th was found Wednesday and engaged in a standoff with deputies. An investigator was shot in the leg during the incident, but is in stable condition. The 4 inmates went missing from Raymond Detention Center in Hinds County Sunday. According to the county sheriff, they climbed through the jail's roof Saturday night, camped out before escaping at different times. Officials believe one of the men, Dylan Arrington, wrecked a motorcycle he stole. A Good Samaritan pulled over to help Arrington, and that's when Arrington shot and killed him. 2 helped to save a pilot's life after he went into cardiac arrest at Richmond International Airport. The officers were in the middle of a security operation earlier this month when they noticed the pilot looking unwell. That's when they jumped to action. Elizabeth Holmes has the story.
It's a classic scene at Richmond International Airport, the steady flow of travelers going to and from their destination.
You interact with thousands of people a day.
But on April 10th, while TSA officer Nigel Allen was on the job, something seemed off.
I was doing a security operation with one of my lead TSOs, Trinard Collier. He had noticed that a pilot was leaning over the railing, and he asked me if he was about to pass out, and the next thing you know, he hit the ground. He was holding on to the rail and just kind of standing there.
In a matter of seconds, Allen crossed this concourse to get to the pilot, who collapsed from cardiac arrest.
That there's somebody turning blue in my arms, and I needed to do something.
Law enforcement responded in seconds.
Go in, grab it.
Allen ran to grab an AED, the same one Fire Chief Doug Martin used to bring a pulse back to the pilot's heart. Their quick jump to action added up after it took EMS nearly double the time to respond.
That day it was 10 minutes because Fire Medic 7 off of Mechanicsville had to come. Usually it's less than 5 minutes.
The pilot regained a pulse and consciousness, a rewarding ending for the heroes who stepped in.
But I heard that, that deep breath he took, and it was like, oh, thank God everything's okay.
February's massive toxic train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, cost Norfolk Southern millions of dollars. The company attributes the nearly $400 million loss in profits to the train derailment. The disaster caused evacuations and massive cleanup efforts. Norfolk Southern has committed nearly $31 million in compensation and support to the East Palestine community. That is just a fraction of what the company continues to make. Confusion and fake accounts have Twitter resolving their app issues, and a Baltimore horse track investigates the death of several horses over the past couple of years. When the news feed returns.
Like meeting new people? Trying new food? Learning about interesting cultures from around the world? Check out Cool Club. That stands for Cultures of Other Languages. Don't miss out. They'll be hosting a tour of the world and food potluck luncheon on Tuesday, May 2nd from 12:30 to 1:30 at the TCC Northeast Campus Library in 1129 The Heritage Room. Come to enjoy the world of flavors, make new friends, and practice a new language. Scan the QR code on your screen to RSVP.
You know you don't have to wear your PT gear anymore, right?
It's comfortable.
So how's civilian life treating you?
It's fine.
When I got out, I didn't want to admit that there was anything wrong because I felt like a failure. And then I realized, like, there's nothing to be ashamed of. So I started talking to someone. Maybe you are fine, but if you're not, it's okay.
Thank you.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Worried about your friend but don't know how to reach out?
You could say how are you or get a fake tattoo. You can ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat with them in VR. It's so good. If you think you should check in, yeah, you should. Whatever gets you talking.
Reach out to a friend about their mental health.
Whatever gets you talking.
Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
The U.S. Coast Guard rescued 2 boaters who were on a life raft near Cape San Blas, Florida. The search began on Monday after officials got a phone call from a person on a shrimp trawler that was disabled. According to the Coast Guard, the vessel had lost power and was taking on water. A rescue air crew located the boaters. They are reported to be in stable condition. It is likely the U.S. could default on its debt as soon as June. That's according to a new trio of analysis. The Treasury Department is counting on an influence of funds from taxes, but tax receipts are running much weaker than expected so far this season. Without any and other extraordinary other measures, the government won't be able to pay its bills full on time until lawmakers raise or suspend the debt ceiling. Since Twitter removed its blue checkmark verification for accounts that didn't sign up for a subscription service, it has led to confusion and fake accounts. One Twitter account was impersonating the city of Madison, Wisconsin. Andrew Banstra tells us more.
In the new Twitter blue era, if you saw these 2 accounts, would you know which one the real city of Madison was?
One of the big problems in Twitter has always been impersonation, and the blue check marks were a way to allow users of Twitter to know that the tweets were coming from the name associated with the account.
A random Twitter account is impersonating the city of Madison using their name, website, and logo, leading to confusion and misinformation. Now that the only way to get a check mark is to pay for it.
So as a result, businesses, celebrities, lots of organizations have had to deal with accounts that say they're them, but really they're actually just somebody having fun and just sending stuff up just to get attention.
The city of Madison confirmed in a statement to News 3 Now that the account in question is not associated with the city. But without verification check marks to prove a celebrity or business is who they say they are, the average Twitter user could be fooled.
Nowadays, though, the lines between what's real and what's parody are being blurred.
Steve says that's why fact-checking is more important than ever. A great example of this happened on Monday morning when Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon's departures took over Twitter.
I read both of those stories on Twitter, and then I immediately went to other multiple sources before I believed it.
While many accounts like this one can be identified as satirical, it still leads to misinformation and creates mistrust on how we consume media.
And that's why I say that you should not believe anything on Twitter, because it could be parody, it could be satire, it could be fake news, it could be real news, and there's no way to tell the difference.
Officials are closing Yosemite National Park tonight. That's because flooding is expected in the area. Right now, the closure is expected to last until next Wednesday, but the National Park Service says it might last longer. Severe weather hit Yosemite last month. The park has to close for 3 weeks when 15 feet of snow fell there. Much of that snow is still there and could stay until July. Live horse racing at a Baltimore track is now suspended indefinitely after 2 more horses were euthanized due to injuries sustained on the track. The suspension comes after 8 horse deaths just last year. Stefan Dingle reports on the special meeting the commission held to address the safety concerns.
We cannot afford to get this wrong. We have to get it right.
After 2 horses were hurt and euthanized at Laurel Racetrack, live racing was suspended, events last weekend scrapped after a lack of entries. This also comes on the heels of 8 horse deaths at Laurel in October and November of last year, raising more questions about the track's surface, leaving officials frantically searching for solutions to a safety problem on the eve of this year's Triple Crown.
Cooperation, communication, and compromise. And without that, we all fail.
The Maryland Racing Commission says it wants to aim for 0 deaths on its racetrack. So Tuesday morning, they approved a request to authorize former Maryland track superintendent John Passero to examine the Laurel dirt surface and make recommendations in a report to the board.
There are various conditions relating to that, including good faith consultation on the part of Maryland Jockey Club, the Maryland Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association, and then mutual development of action plans based upon our conversations.
And it will only be until the Maryland Racing Commission receives that report back that they will consider resuming live racing at Laurel, a move that he says requires compromise and adjustments in the interest of safety.
We should not be here today dealing with this. We should be getting ready to celebrate a Triple Crown.
Several states are in the cleanup stage of flash flooding, while a few states are preparing for more. Your local forecast after this.
Like meeting new people, trying new food, learning about interesting cultures from around the world? Check out Cool Club. That stands for Cultures of Other Languages. Don't miss out. They'll be hosting a tour of the world in food potluck luncheon on Tuesday, May 2nd from 12:30 to 1:30 at the TCC Northeast Campus Library in 1129 The Heritage Room. Come to enjoy the world of flavors, make new friends, and practice a new language. Scan the QR code on your screen to RSVP.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out. But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, and that frog will boil. As veterans, we can tell ourselves the lie that it's easier to stay in that boiling water, to disconnect. But you've never been interested in easy. You are not a frog.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
The intensity of a storm in Austin last Thursday came as a surprise to drivers. There are at least 21 water rescues on one highway that's undergoing a construction project. Adelia Yoshida reports.
The unexpected deluge resulted in dramatic water rescues along the 183 frontage road in northwest Austin Thursday night. At last count, nearly 24 cars got stranded in rising water.
There's a reason why turnaround, don't drown is such a popular phrase.
Daniel Armbruster is a spokesperson for AAA Texas.
It's important to heed that warning and know that it doesn't take very much water on the roadway for your tires and your vehicle to be lifted off the roadway.
Duval crosses 183 a few miles north of Mopac. The project got underway after the current drought began in 2022, and to the casual observer, it's what's different at that intersection compared to the last time we saw really heavy rains. The Mobility Authority told CBS Austin, quote, "Our team is reviewing the incident to see if there are any mitigations that could lessen the impact should we again experience this unusual level of rainfall." AAA recommends drivers who live in flash flood prone areas like Central Texas keep a tool in their car.
you find yourself in a situation where your vehicle is submerged in water or starting to sink, it can be difficult to get out. And so that's why we recommend all motorists have a vehicle escape tool.
The CDC says more than half of flood-related drownings happen because someone drove their car into floodwater.
6 inches of water can take your car off the road, but only half an inch of water is all it takes for your tires to start losing traction.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is meteorologist Anderson Jones here with the weekly weather. Outside, it is currently 71 degrees, 90% chance of rain later today. Don't forget your umbrellas there. And a low of 50 degrees. Alrighty, now on to the forecast for this weekend. This weekend on Saturday, we have a high of 62 degrees and a low of 50. Sunday, we have a high of 78 and a low of 55. That's Texas weather for you. Now on to the weekly forecast. For a 5-day forecast, Monday has a high of 78 degrees and a low of 57 degrees. Tuesday is just about the same, with a high of 77 degrees and a low of 60 degrees. Wednesday, it looks like we're getting hot again, with a high of 80 degrees and a low of 62 degrees. Thursday is a high of 82 degrees and a low of 54 degrees, with possible scattered or isolated thunderstorms. And Friday, a high of 88 degrees and a low of 61 degrees, with possible scattered to isolated thunderstorms. This is Anderson Jones for the NewsFeed.
Thank you, Anderson. People living in part of Minnesota may have noticed a surprise light show brightening up their night skies this past weekend. A solar flare set off a geomagnetic storm that lit up the sky across Minnesota and Wisconsin. Mario Mose reports.
I got a bag packed. I'm out the door.
Professional astrophotographer Jacob Schlichter made his way to the nearest state park in his hometown of Albert Lea just before midnight on Sunday. He was lucky enough to capture these images.
Suddenly everything is dancing just above me, and it was like super magical.
He's been taking pictures of the sky since 2016 and has never seen the aurora borealis this strong so far south.
Being, basically in Iowa, this far south in Minnesota, it's that's what sells it for me, and that's what really just the impressive part.
It's not often we see that far. And then
WCCO meteorologist Chris Schaefer shares this chart showing how large this recent solar flare was. It stretched across Iowa and into parts of Missouri. If you missed this one, Chris says more large light shows are on the way.
Solar activity peaks about every 11 years. And the peak is supposed to be actually next year, 2024 going into 2025. So we're nearing that peak, and we've seen evidence of that.
And if you want to capture one of those, here are some tips. First, use an aurora tracking app. Refer to a light pollution map in your area and go to a spot with the weakest light. And use a long exposure on your cell phone camera.
If you're stable, you could pull off a 1-second standing exposure on your phone, which will be able to let in enough light.
But remember, pictures aren't needed to enjoy these magical moments.
It's just a reminder that if you take time to look around, there's a lot of beauty around us.
Packer Nation must now move forward without Aaron Rodgers. Timeline Sports, it's next.
Like meeting new people? Trying new food? Learning about interesting cultures from around the world? Check out Cool Club. That stands for Cultures of Other Languages. Don't miss out. They'll be hosting a tour of the world in food potluck luncheon on Tuesday, May 2nd from 12:30 to 1:30 at the TCC Northeast Campus Library in 1129 The Heritage Room. Come to enjoy the world of flavors, make new friends, and practice a new language. Scan the QR code on your screen to RSVP.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
You gotta stop with that depressing stuff.
That's what white people think.
You alright?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
Owen, when you came into my life, it was a whirlwind.
I just can't do it.
We didn't know what the future would hold, but we knew you would always be a part of it. Adopting you was the best decision in our life. And I am so proud to call you my son.
Can't believe you're doing this alone.
Done it before.
I remember. You threw your back out. How you holding up?
Hand me that board.
Nothing wrong with getting help.
I'm good.
I did it when Felicia left.
I'll figure it out.
I know you will, but you don't have to do it alone. That's all I'm saying.
If I promise to look into it, will you drop it and help me build this fence?
Now you need my help.
It can be a real pain sometimes, you know that?
Mm-hmm.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Life after Aaron Rodgers. That's the question for every Packer fan. And life with Aaron Rodgers is yet to be answered for the Jets. Here's Samantha Cavalli.
He's been one of two quarterbacks for the last 20-plus years. It's been amazing to have him, so I'm happy for him.
I wish the Packers the most respect, and I think that they're going to do better without him, honestly.
Obviously a great player. One of the best I've ever seen play, but I think it was time for them to move on.
The end of one era and the beginning of another for the Packers. Aaron Rodgers is heading to the New York Jets. Shelley DeCramer said she found out just as she walked into Stadium View and looked on Facebook.
Like, I sat down at the bar and I was like, oh, my husband's gonna go to the bathroom quick. I'm just gonna quick go on Facebook. And then that was the first thing I seen. And I was like, what? Oh my God, this is like awesome news.
Harry Peck said he grew up with Bart Starr, loved Brett Favre, and got used to Aaron Rodgers, but he's ready for a new quarterback.
The time has come to give Love a chance, just like Rodgers got a chance, and just like when Favre got a chance when number 7 went down.
Mike Malone was at the Packers Pro Shop purchasing a Jordan Love jersey. He, like many other fans, are excited for the Jordan Love era.
I thought he looked really good. I thought he looked composed in the pocket. I thought his reads looked good. Yeah, and I'm excited. I think he has a lot of potential.
He's got to have some more reps. He's got to be in charge, you know, and it's time. It's the same thing that happened with Rodgers, and he took over, and look what happened to him.
I'm just really, really excited for Green Bay. All of us fans, we are super pumped about this news. Nobody's at home crying on the couch.
From veteran to fresh faces in the league, the NFL Draft kicked off its first round last night. With the first pick, the Carolina Panthers selected Heisman winner quarterback Bryce Young. The Texans selected C.J. Stroud, then traded up with Arizona for the third pick to select linebacker Will Anderson. The Colts selected at fourth Anthony Richardson, the quarterback from Florida, and Seattle rounded out the top 5 by selecting Illinois cornerback Devin Witherspoon. Other noticeable picks last night include Texas running back Bijan Robinson going 8th to Atlanta. Philly traded up in the draft to take Jalen Carter at 9, and TCU wide receiver Quentin Johnston is heading to the Chargers. While other teams continue to trade up, the Cowboys sat and waited for the clock to start. With the 27th pick, the Dallas selected Michigan defensive lineman Mozzie Smith. Smith is an outstanding run defender that can clog the middle and can create havoc for any player lined up against him. Rounds 2 and 3 are tonight. Across the street at Globe Life, the Rangers are in the midst of a 4-game losing streak after losing last night to the Yankees 4-2. This comes after being swept by the Reds on the road, in which they had a lead going to the 8th inning of each game. Game 2 versus New York is tonight at 7:05. And while some eyes are at the ballpark, others will be on Game 6 between the Stars and the Wild. The Stars took a 3-2 series lead after Wednesday's 4-0 win at home. Tyler Seguin scored the opening goal on the power play just 2 minutes into the game, and Dallas never looked back from there. If Dallas closes out tonight, they'll await the winner of Colorado in Seattle. And puck drops at 8:30 tonight on TBS. And that's your Timeline Sports. Stay with us. The news feed returns after this.
Like meeting new people, trying new food, learning about interesting cultures from around the world? Check out Cool Club. That stands for Cultures of Other Languages. Don't miss out. They'll be hosting a tour of the world and food potluck luncheon on Tuesday, May 2nd from 12:30 to 1:30 at the TCC Northeast Campus Library in 1129 The Heritage Room. Come to enjoy the world of flavors, make new friends, and practice a new language. Scan the QR code on your screen to RSVP.
Jason, let's go see your room.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3.
find her.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? I'm high. Oh.
A Boston family is in possession of a long-lost heirloom thanks to an intrepid Italian teenager. It's a bracelet of a World War II soldier that the young man found in the woods near his European home. Emily Maher reports on his discovery and journey.
Beyond what you find, there's always a history.
And with that history is always a story.
I was interested in seeing who was this person.
19-year-old Gabriel Pavlottini was metal detecting in the woods near his home in Pisa, Italy, when he heard the noise every detectorist waits for.
And then my metal detector started like bing, 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 bing.
He started digging when something shiny caught his eye.
So I pulled it out from the ground, I put it in my hand, and I saw, okay, this is a bracelet.
A silver bracelet with a World War II soldier's name engraved on the front, the date, 1943, and another name on the back.
And I saw L.T. Ernest A. Holtzclaw.
Gabriel knew he wanted to return it to the family of Captain Ernest Holtzclaw, a member of the U.S. Army's 34th Infantry Division.
I found this grave in Boston.
He and his mom hopped on a plane heading to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts with an important mission that would bring him right to Mattapan. When Gabriel spotted the American flag here at Mount Hope Cemetery in Mattapan, he knew he was getting close to finding the soldier's grave. It was then he stumbled right into the man who knew how to help.
I noticed them kind of walking around aimlessly, not set at any one grave.
Jim Kylene and another man who works at the cemetery helped Gabriel track down the grave and the family's home.
We went for a ride, just 3 miles away from here.
And when they got to the house, the soldier's family, stunned and in awe, were returned the bracelet of Captain Ernest Holtzclaw, a World War II American soldier.
I was shaking because, wow, this is his family.
San Francisco is known for many things. The Golden Gate Bridge, Alcatraz, and even Jerry Rice. Even a herd of goats. And as Dion Lim reports, it was all caught on camera.
Check it out. Dog walker Stephen Hing shared this video with us, which shows one of his client's dogs whining and whimpering while walking near Francisco Park on Thursday afternoon. Turns out it was at the site of these working goats blocking traffic along Bay Street and even stopping at a stop sign. The herd of about 35 from City Grazing were clearing poison oak and invasive plants from the park when an unknown person cut a hole into their enclosure. Genevieve Church with City Grazing says the goats then became agitated and confused, making their way down toward the water, then back up the hill again. She thanks the city's Parks and Rec Department and SFPD for their help. Since the organization uses rewards-based training, an employee of City Goats was able to lure the herd back to safety with a bale of hay. We're told the goats are all healthy and happy and were spotted Sunday relaxing in the sunshine.
That's hilarious.
From all of us here at the NewsFeed, thank you for joining us. Have a good week and good news.